amidst tight security and lockdown imposed by separatists. Tamfo Sidwan Dimbye covered the regional elections yesterday. His report.
Since Friday the 4th of December 2020, Kumba people were unable to go about their normal activities following ghost town calls and boycott of activities imposed by separatist pressure groups. Markets and parks closed due to lockdown calls. On election day, 6 December, the streets remained empty despite threats from separatists. Councillors from Kumba 1, 2, 3, Mbonge and Konye casted their votes at the Community Development Specialization Training School. At the end of the exercise in Kumba, 142 councillors casted their votes, and out of 142, 2 null votes were recorded. Meanwhile, for elections of delegates to the Regional House of Chiefs, 57 out of 80 casted their votes in Kmer division. Concerning the selection of chiefs to represent the Kmer chiefs, the selection was supposed to be apolitical, as the president of Konye Chiefs Conference expressed disappointment.
The candidates are likely to represent the division should stand to respect the norms. The law says the peers will vote their candidates, not politicians to nominate chiefs who are going to the regional house. That was not being done at this last exercise. But nevertheless, life is good to move forward. And we never keep things on standstill. That's why I'm seeing the first voter here and the first person.
He also stated that the media projected wrong information that the head of state gave out huge sum of money to support the chiefs at the elections, which later came out that the money was only meant for candidates running for the elections.
The news, the papers everywhere, radios, the alarm was too high that everybody knew that they are giving money to chiefs. No, moreover, our candidates who are representing us in Kmer here told us that this money have been given. The monies they give each and every one of them. It's now getting the proper document that from some of you, the evidence that they signed with each and every candidate had 150,000 and making 450,000 francs.
Kmer Ezuntunong Chamberlain later puts the record straight.
But they should know it very well. That support was for those who are candidates at the regional level. That means in Kmer division, the support the head of state sent was for the 3 concerned chiefs.
The CBDM party of Paul Biya was the only political party contesting the seat at the regional council from Kmer division.
Municipal councillors and chiefs in Menchum division of the North-West region were equally out yesterday to elect the pioneer regional councillors to represent the division in the Regional House of Assembly. The exercise, which took place under tight security, recorded massive voters turnout in Womb. Details with Charles Kebwa from the North-West region.
Municipal councillors and chiefs from the 4 subdivisions in Menchum division of the North-West went to the polls 6 December 2020 to elect the pioneer regional councillors to represent the division in the Regional House of Assembly.
This decision was arrived with during the Grand National Dialogue. That head of state promised decentralization and promised to put the Regional Council Assembly in order in 2020 in order that we should effectively work from bottom to top. So that's why we are here this morning to cast our votes in order that we push those who have to represent us in the region for better decentralization and for better problem solving at the grassroots.
The exercise at the Womb Government Primary School went hitch-free with a massive voters turnout to vote the pioneer representatives of the division in 2 polling stations.
If you look at the population here, they have mobilized themselves to see that they support the list that was being voted by them in the consensus meeting. So we look ahead to see that the representation of the House of Chief that has been earmarked by the traditional rulers of Menchum will do their best, and we'll see that they will fight and meet the plight of the traditional rulers of Menchum.
Amidst tight security, considering the socio-political atmosphere, adequate measures were put in place to ensure the 107 councillors and 56 chiefs in Menchum performed their civic duty unperturbed.
First thing is that I feel honored and blessed by God to be one of the councillors to start to vote for the first regional councillors of this country. It's a wonderful privilege to me. You can see the atmosphere is calm. All of us are happy, and we think that with this process, this country will go in a better direction.
Northwest Governor Aldous Lafrique, who paid a visit to the 7 divisions of the region, equally visited the polling center in Wombe and called on the councillors to organize themselves locally and divisionally to develop the region.
Away from that, self-imposed General Cross and Die separatist leader in Bali, Mezam division of the Northwest region, has in a recent video threatened those working in collaboration with the government, promising death. The threats came on the eve of the first ever regional elections conducted yesterday, which, according to the Minister of Territorial Administration, Minister Paul Atanganji, went hitch-free. Eileen Sama reports.
General Cross and Die in the video released over the weekend on some social media platforms was accompanied by 6 others carrying arms standing in front of a blocked road as their leader sounded the threats, challenging government's call for them to drop their weapons while warning all blacklegs in Bali subdivision.
They don't send we military. May they can't attack we. But we tell them say they will day. We no go ever tire. We no go ever drop the gun and for that way when I see them because no be la Republic with the gun.
Declare, Commander!
We fight now for our own freedom. We fight now for our own freedom. But I did talk all for that black leg them where they day. The one them where they talk saying that them go to show people any Amba they has. I did warn them. This night so I go the cash person now for inside house so move it through.
He also made reference to the chiefs in the restive regions, warning them that the separatist fighters are no longer in for federation but separation and will never give up on their quest nor drop their weapons.
Any chief way say one go now wait, we not there now for that one, eh? That time we don't pass. We not there for no federation. That time we don't pass.
Separation.
We there now for separation direct.
However, the threats which came on the eve of the pioneer regional elections of December 6, 2020 did not mar the election process, said to have been conducted hitch-free in the restive regions and across the national territory, as revealed by the Minister of Territorial Administration, Paul Atanganji, who appreciated the efforts of each and sundry.
From the opening of the watering station to closing at 6 p.m., and the city authorities gave a minute-by-minute report of the process in all the electoral constituencies in Cameroon. At this time, the Minister of Territorial Administration can say in clear terms that the election of regional councillors took place nationwide in a serene, calm and peaceful atmosphere. No incident likely to cast doubt on the credibility of the process or the sincerity of the results from the ballot box.
It is worth noting that the pioneer regional elections took place amid a 4-day lockdown in the 2 restive regions imposed by the separatist fighters.
Security officials in Balingang have apprehended a young boy who attempted to sell the remains of his father. He was caught in the act thanks to the intervention of his sister and forces of law and order. Law enforcement officers have equally called for vigilance and collaboration with the local community. Details with Nora Kakebi in the report that follows.
Recently in Balingang, a young man was apprehended by security officers for digging up his late father's grave to get his bones. Papa Longchi, Emmanuel, who died in 2014, could not rest in peace in his final resting place in Balingang in the West region. Longsti Pauline, son of the deceased, who after a long stay in Congo-Brazzaville returned home and decided to desecrate his late father's tomb. According to this gendarme officer, Longsti's elder sister alerted law enforcement officers when she found out his act.
Dans la journée du samedi 5 décembre 2020, autour de 11h35, étant au bureau, la grande sœur aînée du suspect est venue saisir pour nous faire état de ce que elle a surpris son petit frère en train de casser la tombe de leur papa décédé il y a fort longtemps.
Talking to the young Longsti Pauline, he took the law enforcement authorities and other members of the locality to show the bones he had dug up from his late father's skeleton. He equally added after having been apprehended that he suffers from dementia, which provokes him to carry out such acts.
Je suis entré à l'intérieur, j'ai essayé de ramasser, parce que ce que ça m'a dit, j'ai ramassé, j'ai entassé pour que toute la famille et tout le monde voit. Après, j'ai essayé de tracer le champ, j'ai essayé de marcher. Quand je dis marche, tracer le champ, c'est marcher.
Quand tu as ramassé, tu es allé où?
Je suis redescendu. Quand je suis redescendu, je suis passé par là derrière. Je ne suis même pas monté sur la maison. Je suis redescendu. J'ai essayé de... Parce que ça là, ça me dit vraiment.
The company commander of Mboda, Peter Alobode, has used this opportunity to sensitize the population of Bambutus and Balengang in particular, calling on more vigilance and collaboration with authorities of the law.
The population has to be vigilant, and the gendarmerie equally has to be very, very vigilant. We count on the collaboration between the local population and the gendarmerie so that people can carry out their normal activities in this area without any problem.
Longsti Pauline is currently under custody at the Balengang Gendarmerie and will be brought to book in the coming days.
Some solar panels, together with other health facilities, have been inaugurated for use at the St. Odile Health Center in Ekiti, Edea, happening under the patronage of the British High Commissioner to Cameroon. The gifts were offered by the non-profit Strategic Humanitarian Services, Shumas Cameroon, in partnership with the British Schools for Africa. Darling Gonde completes the story.
This is the arrival of the British High Commissioner to Cameroon, His Excellency Rowan James Laxton, together with the Director General of the Strategic Humanitarian Services, Shumas Cameroon, at the St. Odile Health Center at Ekiti, Edea. Received with welcome songs by the administrators and staff of the health unit and joined by the local inhabitants of Ekiti, the entourage made way into the ceremonial ground to kickstart the inaugural ceremony. And in the very presence of all, particularly a handful of some top state officials present, the raison d'etre for their visit was disclosed as the Director General for Shumas Cameroon talks more.
We had an application from the sisters who gave us a very, very sad situation. They told us about the health center and they had an incubator that they could not save the life of children because they died because of the electricity failure.
Unveiling on the tight security scrutiny team as well as the strict compliance of COVID-19 barrier measures, the project is said to have been funded by Shumas Cameroon in partnership with the British Schools for Africa. While cutting the inaugural ribbon, His Excellency James Laxton had this to say.
It's a remarkable event, which I think means three things to me. First and foremost, it's about health. Adley, I think it's about the environment. Third thing is about solidarity and partnership.
And as a way of expressing gratitude, the local inhabitants, the clergy, staff and administration of the health center gave a display of their dance moves as the regional superior, Reverend Sister Gloria Weber, put hers in words.
And I stand here to represent the entire congregation to thank Shumas and Building Schools for Africa.
Before leaving Ekiti, the hospitable nature of the beneficiaries was further expressed with the sharing of a common meal and captured moments for lasting ties.
The educational community of Government Bilingual High School Bikoko Douala was also benefited of an ultra-modern science laboratory. The handing over ceremony took place in the presence of the British High Commissioner to Cameroon. This is a donation from the non-governmental organization Strategic Humanitarian Services. Darling Gonde reports.
The tears of the students and staff of Government Bilingual High School Bikoko Douala have finally been wiped off thanks to the construction, equipping, and now the inauguration of an ultra-modern science laboratory at the school's premises. Constructed within the framework of partnership between the Strategic Humanitarian Services, Shumas Cameroon, and partners alongside the Ministry of Secondary Education, the laboratory has been handed over for use to the students and staff of this institution under the auspices of the British High Commissioner to Cameroon, some local and administrative authorities of this locality, but not without the pouring of some libation as a sign of cleansing before use. Speaking with the Director General of Shumas Cameroon, this is the backdrop for which this project has been realized.
Of course, Shumas has been working for the last 24 years, and we have a series of programs, about 9 programs, and one of them is education. And the one that has brought us here today is education. Usually every year we receive lots of applications, and this last year we received about 48 applications from the Honorable Minister of Secondary Education, who was so concerned that Shumas could see how to help schools with high IDP population.
In gracing the handover ceremony, a display of cultural diversity took central stage, symbolic gifts exchanged, as well as the presentation of well-constructed speeches by some respective representatives in appraisal to the kind move. After unveiling and touring round the newly constructed laboratory, the British High Commissioner to Cameroon had these remarks to make.
It's a very impressive set of practical material, physics, chemistry and biology. And what's this going to do? It's going to help, of course, the individuals.
Meanwhile, on their part, this donation can be termed a dream come true, as the Vice Principal of GBHS, Bikoko Douala, appreciates.
If some of us can imagine, we have been asking for a long time in this school. We have missed a lot of students and complain every year, difficulties where they are now. The classes are always too congested where they are, even the laboratories where they go. So with this, we are very happy.
And to this science student, the laboratory will go a long way to help them for these very reasons.
There will be no need of us bearing the risks of paying transport to go to schools in town. We will now have to graduate from 5 and continue our high school lessons and studies here in our school.
With the sharing of a common meal and the capturing of a family picture, it was indicatively a wrap to call the ceremony successful.
The Higher Institute of Business Management and Technology, HIPMAT, Douala officially welcomed some freshmen and women into the institution over the weekend. This was during the second matriculation ceremony of the University Institute, which recorded the newly admitted pledging to abide to the rules and regulations of the institution. Darling Gonde in the following report. We'll revisit the reports talking about the matriculation ceremony of HIPMAT. Meantime, the commercial customs subdivisions of Douala International Airport seized about 80 live snakes on Friday during cargo check-in. The parcel was neatly stored in plastic bottles and kept in wooden crates. Custom officials say the owners of the parcel destined for London had fake documents authorizing the exportation of the snakes. The traffickers have been taken to the Regional Delegation of Forestry and Wildlife, while investigations have been opened. Ngok Youth and Cultural Association Peace Tournament has come to an end with Baba One emerging winners. The finals of the tournament was played over the weekend at the Bepanda field. Lasha Kinsley tells us more.
The 2020 Peace Tournament of Ngok Youths and Students Cultural Association Ngoiska Litoro has come to an end with Baba One FC emerging as winner. Baba One FC over the weekend at the Bepanda field beat Bamuka FC by 2-0 in a highly contested finals.
We are very, very happy, delighted to take this trophy back home. Dedicate this trophy to the entire people who came here to watch this match with us.
We are also here today for the set piece division of Katunja. Katunja division is made of 13 villages. 13 villages is the people of one family, one brother, one sister.
According to the representative of the Fund of Baba One village, development can only come if there is peace.
As the Fund representative of Baba One, I'm very, very happy today because this was a peace and unity tournament. I'm very happy because they have championed the lead to bring peace in Ngokutunja division. And only with that peace, there will be development. With that peace, there will be unity.
The president of Ngoiska Litoro branch, Nkanebi Bonaventure, has said, though the tournament never went as planned, it was, however, a success.
The participants, because it has not been a simple issue since the start. We
we started with hopes that we will end with one more. But then, with the difficulties that we face at the level of the rain that was disturbing at the beginning, and then some other issues that was beyond our control, I'm happy because statistically, Ngok have been made up of 3 subdivisions. The 3 subdivisions were represented.
The first edition of the tournament ended with a gala night organized in the presence of Ngoiska National ESCO and some elites of the division.
The new Southwest Regional Football season will kick off on Sunday, December 13, 2020 in Tico. This information is the substance of a communique signed by the Secretary General of the Southwest League of Fcfa. According to the release, Tico United will challenge the TKSO Memorial Sports Academy in the launching game. In another communique, the SG announces that the General Assembly of the Southwest Regional League will take place on the 12th of December 2020 at the Fcfa Secretariat in Boya. There has been no active football in the region since the unprecedented outbreak of COVID-19 in March, which caused the cancellation of the 2019-2020 season. Out of the country, Ghanaians visited the polls earlier today to vote in a new president that will man the affairs of the country for the next 4 years. Stay with us. We'll bring you developments of this on a subsequent edition of Prime News on My Major Prime. We've come to the end of today's edition of the news produced by Ewane Airline Olinga, coordinated by Lasha Kingsley. My name is Gianda Pelgin Blanche King. Until we meet again tomorrow, 6:30, God willing, for another edition. Stay tuned to My Major Prime at 7 p.m. Prime Hour will be live with Kum Leonard and his crack team of analysts you don't want to miss. Happy viewing and good night.